Hey everybody, Optimus Tom back with Brandon fresh off of the semifinals here. Akira had to jet, but instead we got you coming in and good job, man. Going all the way through the tournament to top 4 and then just losing against the only other undefeated player in the room.
Yeah. Funny enough, this is what I get for dropping Yawg, right?
Swapping over to the deck and playing against the Yawg and getting karmic justice.
Yeah.
But it does mean that the finals matchup is going to be Vittorio on the Yawgmoth deck that you did just wind up playing against in the previous round versus Matt Nelson, who's going to be playing Nadu Combo. So we have the old cool kid on the block against the new cool kid on the block in the finals. And it does look like that since Matt is the lower seed, Vittorio will be on the play. And it does look like that Matt looks like he's resolving a couple of mulligans here. So putting potentially 2 cards on the bottom.
Yeah, it looks like a 5.
Are you late?
I said, oh, it's gonna be 5 turns.
I think
I'll be
this
home by
matchup's
3. I didn't expect it to
pretty Nadu
Here
favorite.
all the way to
Removal does not line up well.
I mean, every single time you're going to want to be trying to target their stuff with your Yawgmoth, Nadu's going to trigger. And that's just not a great place to be. But we see it looks like a land, a Birds of Paradise, a Court of Calling, just a plethora of riches. Let me get that Murktide off of there. I don't want to give you a little flashback. But all sorts of goodies for the Nadu deck, and it does look like just right away Vittorio is just going to be starting off with a fetch and potentially a shock for Delighted Halfling. Though you're not really worried about counter magic in this matchup too much.
You can go ahead and they'll force
Go faster than your opponent. There's a Yavimaya on the side of that, so now Yawg has a little more life to work with, can now start fetching basic small, which may be relevant.
Pretty nice, yeah. So turning everything into forest off of that, the Yavimaya. So now just passing the turn back to Vittorio. And as you mentioned, Brendan, this is basically going to be 2 ships in the night passing. And as long as the Yawgmoth can get their namesake card down before the Nadu's namesake card, Yawgmoth can do things. But once Nadu's on the battlefield, you're going to just be Naduing for your opponent.
I think one thing to also keep in mind is that Nadu, most Nadu lists run the endurance loops to kill your opponent, and that may be relevant in this matchup because you can pitch cast endurance early.
Yeah, we do see Orcus Bowmasters coming in to take out the Birds of Paradise, so no turn 2 Nadus, instead just going to be playing Shifting Woodland and passing, which does come into play untap thanks to everything being a forest. So now Vittorio's got a decent sized board for Yawgmoth right out of the gate. We got 3 damage coming across against Matt's face, and we still have potentially 4 mana available for our namesake card.
Not sure the damage will be that relevant on Matt's face. Could.
I mean, for Vittorio, definitely, as I don't know how else he's going to kill him, but for Matt, he's got 17 points of life to just throw away before, or 16 points of life to throw away before he has to worry.
Here comes the Dryad Arbor from that, which is not what you exactly want to see, seeing all your lands are also green.
Yeah, everything's green, so no Nadu. More importantly, there's a Bowmaster on the battlefield, so if you slam down any sort of card draw mechanism now, that Bowmaster can just pick off your Dryad Arbor land. So it looks like just going to be playing the Underground Mortuaries. We will have a Surveil post-shuffle, so Vittorio's getting into the groove here. And we did see that Matt was on, I believe, a mulligan to 5, so not surprising to see a hand that might not be the best one to keep. So Vittorio, with that fetch, gets a Surveil. Should be down at 16 life. And let's see what he winds up having here. It's kind of
looks like he's keeping the card on top.
Nodders going on. Maybe that's a Yawgmoth. Maybe it's a Grist. Something pretty good. Looks like, well, shuffled it into his hands. We didn't get a chance to see it, but very quickly tapping 2 mana here. One from the Wall of Roots and then a Swamp, and that's Malevolent Rumble. All right, so looking at a bunch of different cards here.
It's a pretty good card in Yawgmoth. Flips a Yawgmoth.
That's pretty solid. All right, so if we have land drop for turn.
No, I believe he can cast it because he gets
the Scion. Yeah, the spawn, yeah, the 0/1. And has a wealth of riches. Right, so quick fetch. Let's see if it's That should be coming in here. Just finding a forest. Doesn't want to shock down. So Vittorio should be on 15 here. Should have an Eldrazi Scion. Has the Delighted Halfling.
My delighted halfling is taking for white.
I don't think Matt's Dryad Arbor is long for this world.
Does not quite look like it. So we wind up seeing here. Looks like it's just nope. It's just going to use the Halfling. Yawgmoth comes into play, the Thran physician himself, and without a Nadu in sight, this is going to be perfect opportunity to start putting Matt on the back foot.
Then I'd like to attack.
Sacrifices the... Oh, I believe he sacrifices Spawn
End of my turn.
to target the Dryad Arbor.
Okay, that's what it is.
That's probably why
delay.
he didn't take out this one.
All right, and so we have now just putting that in there, drawing an additional card. Just a bunch of stuff to do, and Urza's Saga comes into play from Matt, so that's going to be a way that he'd eventually find the Shuko part of the combination, but still no blue mana. So Finale Devastation.
Finale for one. Wonder what it could be.
This is probably going to be Halfling. Yeah. I'm going to say at this point in time, you got to find the Halflings that you can't really get picked off unless Vittorio is going to put a lot of creatures into his own graveyard. If you find a Birds of Paradise or something, not the greatest in the world.
You could just sacrifice the Bowmaster army, and then proliferate on it, which is an option.
So it is still potentially going to stonewall damage from Vittorio's side. So like you said, Matt not too caring of his own life total, but is still just basically going to use that as kind of like a turn counter to find his Nadu.
Could see some interesting plays from the Yawgmoth discarding card for Surveil trigger, seeing if he wants the card on top.
Looks like he likes that one.
You can just draw it right now with the Yawgmoth.
So Matt tapped out for turn, does have the Urza Saga, so we know that there's the potential for finding one piece of the Nadu combo on the battlefield. And now Vittorio has, looks like Seiju, looks like, not quite sure what else I saw in hand there, but is really in the tank on this. We did wind up leaving the card on top from the Surveil land, so really kind of debating, like you said, do we use this Yawgmoth to get rid of the Halfling and proliferate by proliferating while drawing that card, or are we just kind of looking at maybe turning things sideways and hoping there's like a bad block?
Nadu doesn't trigger, right? Because it says reveal and then ready to trigger.
Correct, yes, it's not a draw. It's not a draw.
Nadu trigger.
Yep.
Note that Nadu does not trigger
Going,
Bowmaster.
put a counter.
Stacking a
One go 14.
Have
Counter.
I have my
Yep,
plan.
so it's going to be target the Halfling, sacrifice the Bowmasters, you've done your job, puts a counter on the Halfling, and like you said, this could be proliferate to get an additional counter on there to prevent Nadu.
Looks like he drew a Yawgmoth, so I think he's just gonna cast that sacking.
Alright, there we go. Not a bad play, so I guess that was the card that was left on top then.
Problem. Seems like a good lead.
Alright, so Young Wolf, Yawgmoth, we know this interaction. This is going to be a way that we can just sack a Young Wolf, put a -1/-1 counter, put a Undying counter on that, and then eventually remove it later. And
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I thought about that too. He can proliferate, kill the Halfling, and then proliferate the counter on the Urza Saga to be one turn faster, so Matt will have one less turn to have colors,
Last turn
like the colors
I
man.
wow,
yes, I
Right,
killed
that's
something.
right,
right, that is
So,
a lot coming out from this proliferate trigger. So now you're not going to be able to create a construct to block. You're not going to be able to do any. You're just going to, like you said, only have one colorless mana. You have to find a Shuko. If you have a land, Nadu, cool. Great for Matt's deck. but that's all you're gonna have basically. So let's see.
It's a little risky because of the having the land Nadu.
But it's not any sort of promise. This is like the worst case combo scenario for Vittorio, like the best case scenario for Vittorio and the worst for Matt is to be facing down Nadu, Shuko. Hope that they get there.
I will, but if you have plays, please go ahead.
Oh, just a forest though. All right, so Matt has Nadu in hand. He has Court of Calling in hand, but doesn't have any way to use this Nadu right now.
And let's slide it just somewhere in between.
Looks like just Judge Brandon at the table, taking a look at the shuffle job that Vittorio was doing to Matt's deck, making sure that I guess maybe there was a card that he saw when he was shuffling, but instead, Court of Calling, X equals 0, so this is Dryad Arbor. Oh, X equals 1.
Because he had the floating from the Thursday Saga.
Alright, so this is Delighted Halfling 2 Electric Boogaloo. This is basically going to be, I hope this survives, so that I can play my Nadu next turn.
That's you.
Most importantly, Shuko does not give toughness. I don't think so. We already see Vittorio sacrificing the Young Wolf to the Yawgmoth. That'll come back with an Undying counter on it for +1/+1. So there is now a -1/-1 counter on there, and now Vittorio's not really priced into having to sacrifice anything else until he untaps and has his mana. So what do you think? Do you think that Nadu has a way out of this, and does it involve keeping this happening?
Draw basic island.
All right, that works.
Or Shockland, or Factionland.
I do not want to do more of this.
Doesn't look like Yawgmoth has that much of a clock right now, but every turn he gets is just one turn closer to getting 2 tutors and then comboing off killing.
I mean, if you have another creature to play, or you get rid of this Wall of Roots, get rid of the Delighted Halfling, it's a 2-turn clock, you got 6 damage on the battlefield. Looks like just discarding to proliferate, so now you have an additional 2 damage, 8 damage on the battlefield.
I'd like to do it one more time.
Big Young Wolf.
Oh, proliferating again, so this is this lethal? Matt's at 11, we have 4, 5, and 2, that's 11, that's lethal.
Wow.
I have this. These are 4, 5, it's 9, and 2 it's 11. This is a 1/1 with 4+1/1, right?
Might be a little mix
That
up
is
on
right. This is 4 + 5, 9.
This was
So we're looking at
At the end of your turn, to put
the Young Wolf here. He undied the Young Wolf on Matt's turn, which put a +1/+1 counter on it, allowing it to be proliferated. But there should have only been 2 proliferates on the Young Wolf, so it should have 3 counters. We do have Judge Brandon at the table to verify
I'm doubting
everything.
my math because
So,
I did the math turn before.
So this should be
Then
4,
proliferate at the end of your
8,
turn.
10, putting
No,
that
I
down to
did not.
1.
So you're absolutely right. This is proliferated
Proliferate
twice.
now, though.
Yes. So you go down to
Yes,
10.
yes, and you proliferate during your turn.
Yeah.
That's why I died, yes.
You are at 1, and I will play a
So now all the way down to 1 is Matt. Vittorio's still at a healthy 13, so like you said, draw island now because fetch land is not on the table.
Let's go get you.
Yeah.
No, it's just a Misty, so that's going to be game 1 going to Vittorio. So very key that putting him down to 1 there was relevant because Vittorio, unfortunately, missing out on some of the math. So thought that his Young Wolf was 1 higher than possible, but that did shut off the only way that Matt had back in the game. All right, so we do have deck lists for everything. So we'll start with not the Nadu deck. We'll start with the Yawgmoth deck. What do you bring in against Nadu in this matchup to try to give yourself a better chance since your main game plan is not the greatest?
So definitely, I'm looking at the list. He looks like he has 2 push, 2 force of vigor. So 2 Thoughtseize. Definitely 2 Thougeize. There's a collector roof, so you definitely want the collector roof for the Shukos. Though Nadu does have other ways of getting around it.
Which is fine. If you show off one of their game plans, it also turns their Urza sagas into colorless lands, basically.
Basically. There's a Reclamation Sage. It's not bad, but not that great either. Soulless Jailer has some text, I believe. Does it affect libraries? Or?
Soulless Jailer, I believe, is that it says that permanents and graveyards can't enter the battlefield, and they can't cast non-creature spells from graveyards or exile. So
no text.
Against Nadu in particular, that's just a 0/4 for 2, so probably not coming in. But so I do like the endurance for the graveyard. I do like potentially either some combination of the Collector Oath and then maybe ways to combat the deck with cards in hand. Thought seizing away a Nadu is still something that can happen. If you are cutting a bunch of cards that are in your main game plan that don't necessarily work out that well, maybe you wind up kind of turning those card slots into like Thought Seizes. Like there's a one of Walking Ballista in the list, which is normally an all-star with Agatha's Soul Cauldron, but you're not able to pick off opposing creatures in the Nadu deck the way you normally can. So that might be something that's just like, that isn't a card that's a card that's great on like turn 1 and 2 against your mana dorks, but not great later on in the game. So I might make those Thought Seizes.
I think he might just keep the Walking Ballista because it is a combo piece, so and he might want to just try to go as fast as possible with maybe like 2 Thought Seizes, maybe Orcish Bowmasters, because those are like whatever in the matchup. Hepatra is kind of mid in the matchup because you don't really want to target Nadu, but you can like target some of the dorks early. He has a Haywire Might in the main, which will help against Nadu. Can get rid of Urza Saga actually, which is quite nice. Maybe some of the Soul Cauldrons coming out too, because it's mostly for like slower matchups. Oh, it is a combo card, but yeah. I mean, Nadu's not interacting with yourself, so.
Yeah, that's very true. And then we wind up having from the Nadu side, now on their side, we may wind up seeing things like Soulless Jailer to shut off the Undying effects from the Young Wolves. There's also Veil of Summers that could potentially come in if you think you're going to have hand disruption pointed your way. Endurance also seems pretty good to come in here as an additional card. You have copies of the One Ring. Not entirely sure if this is the matchup that you want them in, but you could wind up just kind of putting up the shields against a big Yawgmoth turn if there's, the Blood Artist on the opposite. But Blood Artist doesn't actually target, it just loses life, right? Yeah, so...
It does target, actually.
It does? Blood Artist targets?
Blood Artist targets?
Zula Park
does
not. Yeah.
not target. Let's see. Oh, there's 2 Dismembers. We could see those coming as well on the Nadu side. And...
I don't think... Oh, Sun Cleanser, is that relevant in this matchup?
No, the card above. Sun Cleanser.
Yeah, unfortunately we do have handwritten deck lists, so we are limited by the amount of handwriting that we can read on some of these, and not entirely sure...
Kite Sail something?
Is that a Kite Sail freebooter? Is that something that comes in the place of like Deep Cavern? I don't think that would be a card that sees play in the Nadu deck, but Sun Cleanser might be something that can remove counters from creatures, and creatures can't have counters put on them either. So that's another thing that shuts off Yawgmoth from doing it on Vittorio's own creatures. But we'll see. I mean, that might be something, but...
It does target, so it does give you a Nadu trigger.
It does, so...
Probably not.
Let's see here. Let's say Vittorio is actually mulliganing down to 5. So we had Matt mulligan down to 5, and now Vittorio taking his turn at mulliganing down to 5. And it looks like, Matt, I saw a pair of halflings. I see at least 1 land in hand, so looking a lot better than game number 1 already. Vittorio, though... Yeah, alright, so you went off of Yawgmoth in order to play the Frogtide deck. If you were playing Yawgmoth, you're on a mulligan to 5, what are you looking to have in your opening hand? Like, what do you want to keep?
Probably like a Grist or something to like accrue a bit of value. Or maybe just Yawgmoth any kind of dwarf. Just try to get you to your Yawgmoth fast enough. Maybe you'll draw more dorks along the way to like sack the Yawgmoth, and then try to go on.
All right, well, it looks like we have Wall of Roots, Pair of Lands, might be a Delighted Halfling, and not quite sure what that last card in hand is from Vittorio, but looks like he's got to keep. I don't think you want to go down to 4 against the combo deck that can just kill you on turn 3. And there is turn 1 Delighted Halfling coming out from Matt. Nadu turn 2, question mark?
Looks like it's off a blue land, so it has Waterlock Grove. Yeah.
All right, so Young Wolf on turn 1 here from Vittorio, but it looks like there we go. Oh, actually, that's a Spring Heart Nantuko coming out.
Cast the Spring Heart Nantuko.
The bestow side, yeah.
Young Wolf is young and bold.
Now, if he kills the halfling, the Nantuko will just fall off, which is very nice.
And more importantly, if you have landfall, now you can copy your Delighted Halflings. So now you can get either Delighted Halflings or insects when you have things that come into play. Looks like just swing in with this Young Wolf, though, but not going to bite to trade the insect for it, since that one will come back. And it does look like just going to be fetch and shock from Vittorio's side.
I think Matt might be setting up turn 3, cast Nadu, immediately play a Shugo, maybe?
You tapped out, so I shouldn't step.
Well, after the Wolf, there's another Young Wolf coming. And then you can do your thing.
All right, so it looks like just a bit of shortcutting coming in. There's a Wall of Roots, and then a second Young Wolf, and then shortcutting from Matt's side is going to be fetching right now. So Matt going to be evening up the life totals at 17 apiece, and Vittorio representing, if I go land Yawgmoth and you don't have Nadu, now Vittorio's set up for success.
Yeah. You also could have land Quarter Calling and as well just have it right here, basically. Well, not have it.
Well, on his untap, yeah.
It feels like your core there can be better.
You would have draw as many cards as you could
Yeah,
into.
16. No, wait.
I'm at 16, you're at 17.
Yes.
You wouldn't have enough mana for the cord for Blood Artist, but yeah.
All right, Matt decides untap, or sorry, Surveil trigger, puts the Spring Heart Nantuko in the graveyard, already has one on the battlefield underneath it, Delighted Halfling, draws for turn, we see Wall of Roots in hand. Is there a Nadu? That's the big question everybody's been asking all day. Where's Nadu? Someone said they all flew south to LA to play at NXP, but
Well, there were 2 here, and
they team killed each other in the
did kill each
quarterfinals.
other in the quarterfinals, which I'm glad, because I did not really want to play. It's not.
Don't think anybody really wanted to, but it looks like Matt, with no third land, no Nadu in hand, has a third land, has Halfling, Haywire Might, Wall of Roots, land, and I didn't know what that first card in hand was, but none of these are the combo. Oh, second Nantuko. Double bestow.
One large halfling.
Not the card I wanted to hit. I wanted to hit this
Go
one
ahead.
to bring up the Spring Heart Nantuko.
Check what. So this is bestow. Bestow falls off when this dies, so they become true.
So
and
Vittorio
this
just
die,
making sure with Judge Brandon that if you were to
fall
kill
off
the
the
Delighted Halfling,
Yeah,
yes, the
they
bestow
stay
would
there.
fall off. But right now, that Spring Heart Nantuko is very adding 3 power total to the Delighted Halfling. We play the land following up to get double insect, and we have a Wall of Roots that follows up as well. So
So you're putting the counter here. Yes.
What's that? Really shiny card.
oh, that's is that Bristly Bill? Oh no, sorry, that's just I think the other halfling that was in Matt's hand.
Okay.
So just putting the counter on the Wall of Roots and then playing out your hand and basically saying, all right, if I top deck Nadu and I start targeting things, I can go do stuff. But at this point, Vittorio is basically on, do I have land Yawgmoth? Do I have land Court of Calling? I need to find something to start picking off all of these creatures, drawing some cards or something, because I'm looking like I'm in trouble right now.
I think he might have. He was asking about the bestow, so he might be signaling he might have some.
You were
removal
13,
for the halfling.
and I'm at
Could have a
17.
grist.
Maybe. I don't think,
You have one
because there's 2 Nantukos on it, and removing the halfling doesn't do much. 3 mana, is that...
Oh, hello, Will.
Is that a chord? It looks like a chord.
This looks like Court of Calling. All right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Why are you here so late?
1, 2, 3, 4,
Sleeping?
5, 6, 7.
All right, so Court of Calling, X equals 4. This is representative of Yawgmoth, which will most importantly untap these young wolves because they will undie. That can start picking off maybe the halfling at the top of the screen, can start picking off some of these insect tokens, but most importantly, it's not going to be able to deal with the Delighted Halfling, which is currently a 3/4. It can chump block it, but most importantly, Delighted Halfling is not a human, so that is going to mean that Yawgmoth can't just block that indefinitely. Eventually, the Delighted Halfling may wind up trading upwards into a Yawgmoth.
Looks like a pretty good mold of 5 from Victoria. So,
Yeah, and we still have one unknown card in hand, too.
so he can just refill his hand right
I'd
now.
like to suck this guy to give
Basically,
-1 to your insect.
Infinitely block. He can kind of infinitely block because you would just sacrifice the young wolves in response to damage being dealt.
Yep. So we see here now getting rid of one of the insects,
One
drawing
more
a card.
time. Sorry.
We're going to do that with the young wolf trick, so that's going to put him down yet another life, all the way down to 10. Both players locked in, so that means that the iPad life totals are a little bit off, but we do have the handwriting being done by both players just to verify.
And I think Matt signaled that he didn't have a Nadu because he just didn't go for it last turn. So I think Toro is pretty poised to win this actually. Because he can just refill his hand. As long as he doesn't die the next turn, he can. Like, if he finds a chord, he can just chord for Blood Artist and he's win the game.
That's basically what you're looking for at this point. And I mean, right now you have 3 creatures on the battlefield to tap. You're like 1 extra creature away, but you already utilized your Wall of Roots. So what do we got here from Vittorio? It looks like maybe looking at a sideboard to see if he took something out.
1 card in hand.
And there's 1 card in hand from Matt's side too, so Vittorio already kind of doing the alright, what do I lose to check? And what is that? What can Vittorio lose to here?
Nadu. Well, Nadu and then some, I believe, maybe Vittorio had Cord doesn't actually get anything here though.
Alright, well we see, is that land from hand? So it looks like Delighted Halfling, land, and not quite sure what else is in hand here for Matt. It's definitely not
Maybe
Nadu.
another land.
Was that another Spring Martin Tuco? So there's 1 in Graveyard and will be 3 on the battlefield now. Actually, bestowing that one on the
yeah.
Oh, you make 3 tokens. Yeah.
Whew, that's a lot of tokens.
Here come the trying to pressure Victoria's life total. It's like maybe he can't draw into Cord in time to survive this.
Looks like with your full of cards from Vittorio, we haven't really seen too many of the cards in hand, so we know that Halfling and 3 of those insect tokens can attack this turn. Halfling right now is a 3/4, which means that if you triple block it, it will die, but it can get rid of 1 of those young wolves if they so choose to. It looks like that just means that there's going to be a bunch of tokens rumbling into the damage zone here, which can 2 of them get eaten up with what Vittorio just has on the battlefield. You know, mono green Nadu not looking as good as Simic Nadu or Bant Nadu.
Maybe not. See, I do think it's right to attack with everything here, even if the halfling gets triple blocked.
I mean, you still want... Oh, okay, Haywire Might was the card that was on the top of the battlefield. Alright, so potentially rumbling in for 4 damage here, and then Haywire Might representing gaining 2 life if they really want to, but there's no mana available on the side of Matt, so this is just passing of the turn, and... Alright, moment of truth. Did Vittorio find a Blood Artist or a Court of Calling? Looking to see if he wants to do anything before draw step.
Maybe Matt's missing both. It might give Vittorio a lot of time, though. There are a lot of Nantuko tokens.
Oh, but this is a Papatra.
Oh. Now you can just start taking off each little thing on Matt's board.
So whenever you put -1/-1 counters on a creature, you get to create a snake creature token with Death Touch. So every single time you're going to be activating your Yawgmoth, you're going to be getting a snake that you can sacrifice to activate your Yawgmoth. But it looks like, here we go, Court of Calling.
Here's Court, that's lethal.
This is 5. This is going to be Blood Artist. Show the Blood Artist. Does that mean Vittorio's going to Portland?
Looks like Vittorio just goldfished a lot faster than the Nadu deck, which is surprising, but I guess that is one of the strengths of the Yawg.
All right, here we go. Sacrificing, draining for 1. There it is. Good. Vittorio takes it 2-0 over Matt's Nadu deck. The old kid on the block, the old creature combo deck, Yawgmoth, is going to be going to RC in Portland at the beginning of next year.